This right here is what is happening now. Welcome back to Just Blazor program. In case you haven't noticed, no, this is not going to be an actual tech video. This is going to be a video where I talk about stuff that's happening, especially since I'm wearing this tinfoil hat, as you will see. Since I believe that all the stuff that's happening in Twitter will eventually trickle down to other events that have been happening in the world, including the events that are happening around Mark the Zuck with his metaverse, and eventually Microsoft, and then Microsoft will eventually impact you, both as a developer for .NET technology and as a developer in general. But I'm going to tie these pieces together in a very stupid way. And if you don't like that stuff, then I would suggest you wait a little bit longer. Unfortunately, I ran into a lot of issues trying to do a video, including my computer, my health, and my vacation that I was having. So all this combined really delayed the video I wanted to do. So instead, we're going to do a little mishmash here. So it's really just for entertainment. If you don't like these sort of things, just please wait for the next video to come out. But if you are, you have like some time to spare, I'll be sure to be a little bit more entertaining for you. I am wearing this tinfoil hat stuff, so I am trying to trying to buy comedy. You know what I mean? Because I'm not that funny. Whoa, what is all this? I have put on the Canva app. That's what I use for my thumbnails and stuff, by the way, in case you're wondering. All our main players right here. So we have good old Elon Musk. He's been in the news recently and continues to be in the news and has not stopped being in the news. We got good old Twitter over here, side by side with Elon, for good or for ill. We got Mark Zuckerberg. This is his realistic portrait right here. And this is our Microsoft logo. And ultimately, the Blazor itself. So how do these all tie together? Well, in order for us to start discussing things, let's talk about Elon Musk here for a minute. So you're coming in later and you'll be coming in later. I know these two are a little bit closer to what exactly it is that will impact you. But Twitter is playing a key role in this particular story. So, if in case you don't know, it's kind of a bit of a dumpster fire. So, when it comes to Elon Musk, he's done a lot of stuff on Twitter. So when he bought Twitter for about $44 billion. So let's just put that on the scoreboard here. We got a $44 billion company that was not actually worth $44 billion. Actually was worth 20 something billion, but whatever. He decides to buy it for almost twice the price. Very good consumer, consumer business logic businessman here. He's a billionaire, and that's why he's a billionaire. He pays double for everything. So, among the changes that he's done so far, there's been a lot of them. And we could discuss all of them if you want to, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm going to discuss only things that really impact us as developers, this being one of them. So, this is a weird behavior that a lot of CEOs have, which is that they kind of take their workforce for granted, and then they try to make you work harder without paying you more, and that is something that you shouldn't accept, honestly. There will be times when you're a developer where you just have to bite the bullet and then work a little bit extra in order to get something done because there's an emergency or because it has to be done and maybe your work is on the line. But there is a point in where this should not be acceptable. I believe that Elon Musk basically spelled it out that you have to work, some insane amount of hours. He didn't put it in specifically, but if you know a little bit about him and what he's done with his other companies and other complaints he has given, then these hours could be ridiculous. This is known as crunch. And if you've never heard of that, then good for you. You haven't experienced it yourself. I have. I worked for a game company, in case you don't know, and that kind of sucked. And I worked for other companies that actually did have some level of crunch in there, but normally when they come out and say you're going to be working crunch and we expect it, that is when the issue happens. So obviously, I'm not a fan of this practice. I say that if you want people to work more, you should pay them more, or they should be compensated in some way, and it should be like a voluntary thing. So there will be a number that people will be willing to work for if they need to work more, but I would never force them to do so, or get fired if you're not hardcore enough to do all this. So, I'm just rehashing some things that happened before, but only the stuff that really impacts us. So, what do we have here? What do we got next? Let's go back to the Canva app real quick here. So we got our Twitter app, and the first thing he does is basically fires a bunch of people. He not only fires a bunch of the executives, he also decides to fire, a bunch of engineers as well. either because of this, either because they quit because of this whole hardcore, yeah, be hardcore thing, or because he actually fires him himself for being critical of him or something like that, either in public or in private within their, their communication using Slack or whatever. But again, I would not handle these matters in public. I think that's kind of a big faux pas when it comes to, your employer-employee relations. But he doesn't care. He's Elon Musk. He's a $44 billion man. He knows what he's doing, I guess. So right now, Twitter doesn't really have much of a crew left. A lot of critical functions are not there no more, or they're not being supported. Anyways, if I were to try to update this with something better, to better illustrate what's happening, then I believe it would be this right here. Perfect. Boom. So Twitter's basically on fire, and this man is responsible for that. So there you go. So what does that mean? When this guy is on fire, we have a bunch of people abandoning ship. So they all leave Twitter to go to greener pastures, or at least a lot of people have decided to not be on Twitter anymore and try to look for alternatives. So this is where we go here. Actually, no, let me spin this around. To this guy here. So a lot of alternatives have been put out, and I'm going to take out the two sites. Let's just use Yahoo here. Two sites that basically have the same amount of things. But I want you to notice what are the Twitter alternatives that are being suggested by these bigger news sites. This is not, I don't know if this is a pretty big one, but it also lists some of the same ones that you're going to see. So we're just going to use yahoo.com for this example. It's going to be Mastodon, Tumblr, Reddit. I don't know what this is. Counter Social, co-hosts. Is there any more? There's other ones out there, I bet. But the biggest one that I've been hearing down the grapevine is Mastodon. I don't have one of these myself. Instead, I have, my Discord, which I have the link in the description in case you want to join. And I also use the community tab of YouTube in order to communicate with people, and the comments, obviously. So that's how I communicate with people. I don't have a Twitter, and I'm never going to get one. And you think I'm going to get one now? No, I'm not. So if for those of you asking if I have other social media, I don't really. If to communicate with people in my community, I usually do it through YouTube or through my Discord. So again, if you want to join Discord, go to the bottom of the page. There's going to be a Discord link there. You can join it if you feel like it. So notice that in that list, and we're going to go through this one real quick. I don't know what microblog is. Peak Social, Ether, Amino, Mastodon again, Minds, Plunk. I never really heard of any of these except maybe Mastodon, but that's it. And you know who's not being listed in these things? You know where people are not going? Right here. We're not going to Marky. Not Facebook. Facebook is a little bit different. We're talking about something else. We're talking about... Where are you? I had this prepared. Boom. Right here we go. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the metaverse, baby. We got to go there. And then eventually we'll get to here. But I'm going to leave that there for real quick. But people are not jumping ship to go to the metaverse, which is quite unfortunate because now this is where we get to the whole Microsoft, whatever part of the angle here. The part of the angle that you probably will care about. So now we're going to talk about metaverse real quick. We have $700 billion plunge of Meta's pricing. So that's not really good for, a product they're putting into. I believe, the metaverse has lost a couple billion. Not as much as Elon Musk has lost, but it's a pretty big loss. We don't have as many people as they thought they were gonna have using the VR stuff. And in other news, people don't really use the VR headsets after a certain amount of time. They just stop using it altogether. So not looking good for our VR venture, for Meta at least. And the reason why that impacts you is because guess who has jumped on that same ship? Meta and Microsoft announced partnership to integrate workplace and team. So Meta and Microsoft are working together to create their VR metaverse, whatever this whole gimmick, which is what it is to me at this point in time. It's a gimmick. There might be a future for VR. I'm not a naysayer. I do think I like the idea. I actually did like the HoloLens. Let me see if I have it here. I actually like this idea a lot better than what Facebook was trying to do, which is actually like the VR stuff, because I don't know how they were going to implement it. I think they're trying to push into the office desktop usage of the VR. But, imagine having this in your office. This is a $1,500 headset that you can use to go on Teams and to also develop your programming software. Or instead of having this thing on your head, you could just use your normal computer and a webcam and not be attached, not be stapled to this. And that is the primary reason why people probably don't like that, don't like this metaverse thing. Also, if you don't know, there are actually cameras that face towards your face so that it could capture all of this data that's here in order to use it and put it in your avatar and stuff. So in case you want more, you want them to know more about you, your face, and just replicate it and do whatever they want with that data, you could just get yourself one of these headsets here, or you could have a whole office of people having this. However, but also the price range, like for the HoloLens, look at this crazy amount of price to get this, and I believe it's $1,500 for this headset here. So do you want to spend $1,500 for this headset so you could work with a much more garbage version of whatever computer you might have, or pay a lot more money? And I'm not even sure how these work. I think these are I never tried this before, so I really can't say to it. But I do know that because both Microsoft and Facebook have these products they're developing, and Facebook is really just going down with the ship for the metaverse Quest stuff. That they're trying to really push into giving you the supreme ability of working and programming through the little headset, which I personally hate. But hey, maybe you like that. But that is not where the tinfoil hat theory comes from. No, no, no. The tinfoil hat theory does not really come from the fact that they're planning on trying to make this whole metaverse thing work, and they just haven't found the niche. So apparently, games is not enough. They need to go into other stuff, and I can't find it. Especially this guy. This guy can't figure out what to do with this helmet. But that's all gravy for Microsoft, because the one who's really putting up all the money and getting all the hate for this is this brother right here. This our bro Zuck. So what does that mean? That means that Microsoft, here comes the conspiracy. Microsoft is waiting for our Zuck, who is now get out of it, who's now the canary. So, I don't have a canary picture here, but he is the canary in the mine of VR stuff. And if he fails, because of the partnership that he has with Microsoft, Microsoft is in a grand and unique position to scoop up all of that good VR thing. And they have all access to all that technology anyways, but I think they'll actually have all the rights and stuff if they decide that Facebook fails too hard, and then Facebook has to do something about their, like super expensive VR technology that no one wants to use. Good old Microsoft is here to pick it up. And this is not a practice that Microsoft is not known to do. It has done this before. It's actually a really ruthless company when you think about it, especially in the past. But I believe that if Meta were to fail, then Microsoft will be here to pick up the pieces, or as many pieces as possible, and try to really get into this whole metaverse thing. Again, they will be the ones picking up all the problems with it, because I don't think that the technology right now or the actual interest in it is enough. The reason why I brought up all the Elon Musk stuff and the Twitter thing is because even though Twitter is losing people, supposedly, and they're trying to look for other maybe alternatives, Meta is not one of the alternatives. It doesn't seem like people are going there at all. And this would be prime time for it. But unfortunately, because of the cost of the VR and the fact that there is nothing for it to do, and people don't really use it that long, I just don't think the technology is there right now. But Microsoft has been working on its HoloLens thing for a very long time now, and they also have a similar issue with it, where they can't really find a good niche, even though they have this thing. They maybe use it, they maybe not use it, but they want to make it more mainstream. However, if they were able to get access to more meta technology and control, then they would have basically monopoly over all VR, or just like the whole VR future, if there is one. And ultimately, that will impact you, because anything that Microsoft does, especially now, because Blazor is part of the whole, unification of technology they're trying to do with .NET. Um, they will probably try to use Blazor at some point in time in the future if they're able to grab all this VR technology or even with their own HoloLens technology. They might not do it now because the proof of concept is simply not there. But if they do, and they're able to make, maybe Meta actually makes it work and finds the niche it's supposed to find to make profit, or if it fails and Microsoft scoops it up, then it will try to find the market itself. And ultimately, that trickles down to all the technologies that Microsoft has so that development might actually be done on this VR thing. Now, I don't know if they will continue with the whole desktop thing, but I believe they will, only because they have invested a lot of money into it. Not through here, but they've invested a lot of time in the actual software of creating these virtual reality applications so they can make their Microsoft 365 work in VR and all that stuff. So they're getting ready in case this market finally comes and bears fruit for them or for Meta, or if Meta fails, then they could probably take over Meta's technology if need be, because they are their partners. So I'm just saying that's where about tinfoil hat comes from. I think that if Meta fails, Microsoft is the ultimate winner here, but you have to try to find a way to actually succeed. And Mark Zuckerberg, unfortunately, when it comes to this whole project, he's just the lab rat. He's just gonna see whether or not Microsoft continues going in this direction. But if it does and it succeeds, then you will, all the software that it has and all the technology that it has will try to be integrated with VR stuff, and that could be another way of another path, another career path for you if that opens up. But I really do hate that if this does succeed for anyone here, that we will have to be using those stupid helmets in order to develop, and I hate that idea. I have glasses. It's already uncomfortable enough as it is. I would rather not put more crap on my face while I do, my development. I'm very happy being in a meeting where I don't have to have a freaking helmet on in order to be in a Teams meeting. It makes no sense to me. So, yeah, that was it. I know that this wasn't the craziest video. There was no real tech stuff. It was all, taking advantage of the situation that Elon Musk has created in order to create this video, and also the collective failures of everybody here except Microsoft. Microsoft has been biding its time for this stuff, and ultimately, all the fruits that Microsoft is able to reap off of whatever is happening here will be put into all the Microsoft technologies, including Blazor. Now, how will that look when it comes to Blazor? I think that it might be through maybe an actual development IDE, or maybe even a progressive web app. I'm not sure, because I don't think that Blazor as it is poised to make use of anything in VR. But it doesn't mean that you can't develop in it if this technology ever gets to the point where it's comfortable to wear, it doesn't last 2 hours, and that people want to use it. So maybe that's where that goes. But I wouldn't worry too much about it now, because right now, this is what's happening. Here, perfect. This right here is what is happening now. And Microsoft and Blazor are just sitting out here waiting to see what happens to both the metaverse with their weird goggle stuff, and and what's happening with Twitter. Whatever happens to Twitter will be seen by the whole tech community, or the whole everybody in tech will take notice of it, and then they will calibrate to it. If people leave this in order to go to other places, then obviously they'll be the new Twitter or whatever. If they don't go to Meta, then Meta is still a failure. And if Meta continues to fail, then Microsoft will pick up all the pieces there, and then they'll do whatever Microsoft will do with it. Whether or not they will continue to heavily invest in it, I have no idea. But if they do, then you might see one day where your office is just going to be you and your helmet, and in office, because we don't like remote, because because $10, I bet you, if that day ever comes, you're not going to be able to work remotely with that stuff. Anyways, that's it. I know this was a stupid video, but I wanted to get something out and to make sure that you knew that I was alive. So I hope you at least enjoyed it a little bit of it, had a little bit of a, had a little bit of a laugh, a little bit of goof in here, and we got to discuss, things I don't normally discuss on this channel. So anyways, tech videos will come through and more Blazor related content coming in the future. It's just I really needed to get something out there. So bye bye.